Good morning, and thank you for joining us this morning as LiftFund serves hope and inspiration for lunch today. Now it is my pleasure to introduce you to LiftFund's first employee 26 years ago today. Today, she is our president and CEO, Janie Barrera.
Hi, welcome to our event today. I'm Janie Barrera, the founding president and CEO of LiftFund. We started our not-for-profit organization in 1994. Our mission is to provide access to capital and technical assistance to small business owners that cannot receive those services from the traditional banks because of bank regulations. For example, you have to have a certain FICO score to get a loan, or you have to be in business for so many years to get a loan. At LiftFund, we work with businesses that are right underneath the radar screen of the banks. We work with them, providing the financial education they need to eventually work directly with the banks. We have an unusual business model. We want to lose our best customers. We want them to graduate and begin to work with the traditional banking institutions. It's a full circle relationship. With the businesses growing out of LiftFund, we now have room for other small businesses to receive the assistance they need. We are not a bank, and so we don't have depositors. Our funds are limited, and we have to revolve the funds so that those funds will now be available to the next person that needs the capital. We lend the money, the borrower pays us back, we report to the credit bureaus their payment history with us, customers' FICO scores increase, and they are off to the banks. Truly a full circle relationship. In 1994, we started our work in San Antonio as Acción Texas. Since then, we have grown from serving one city to now serving 13 states across the southeast part of our country. We have provided more than $328 million to more than 21,000 small businesses throughout our footprint. Because of our expansion outside of Texas, we needed to change our name. We rebranded as LiftFund 5 years ago in 2015. Our Houston office now has been open more than 20 years. We opened the Houston office in 1998 as Acción Texas. Since then, we've served over 3,000 Houston businesses with more than $55 million in capital, and we have a 96% repayment rate. These small businesses have provided jobs and opportunities for many people in Houston. This afternoon, you're going to hear about the resilience of restaurant small business owners. I know firsthand the hard work of starting a small business. My parents owned a Mexican restaurant in Corpus Christi for over 20 years. My first job was as a waitress. I still remember my first big tip. It was a Kennedy 50-cent piece. My parents worked hard. My dad was the cook, and my mom ran the front of the house. I remember them getting up before God woke up because the restaurant opened at 6 o'clock in the morning. And the ladies that helped my dad had to be picked up at their homes because the buses didn't run at that time. The masa for the tortillas had to be prepared for the first customers walking in the door at 6 o'clock. No store-bought tortillas at La Mexicana restaurant. My parents worked hard for over 20 years. They trusted their bookkeeper, but didn't know how to read a balance sheet. At the end of the day, they ended up with no pension, and between them, $1,500 a month from Social Security. They were not able to build wealth and have assets. LiftFund helps people build assets. One of the reasons I believe in the mission of LiftFund is that we not only provide capital, we provide the financial literacy small businesses need to be successful. I wish LiftFund had been around for my parents. The other reason I believe in the mission of LiftFund is that I believe in empowerment. Giving someone a fish, you may have heard that saying, you can give somebody a fish and they eat for a day. You teach somebody how to fish and they eat for a lifetime. Well, what we do here at LiftFund is that we help people buy the pond where they fish, and now they own something. And that's how I believe we can break that cycle of poverty and build assets. LiftFund transforms lives by opening doors, leveling the financial playing field, and building a community of shared success. Today, you will hear stories of transformation. I hope at the end of today, you will be inspired to join our movement of propelling dreams, cultivating confidence, and championing ownership. Enjoy the rest of the afternoon.
Thank you, Janie, for your inspiring comments and sharing your family's restaurant history. Now I'd like to welcome Michi Bruns Clay, LiftFund Vice President of the East Texas region based in Houston.
Thank you, Linda. I would like to thank each and every one of you for joining us today. We are excited to bring together a group of passionate and talented community leaders for our session today. You will hear from our guest of honor, 2017 James Beard Foundation Award winner, Chef Hugo Ortega, owner of Backstreet Cafe, Hugo's, Caracol, and Sochi, and former Houston Community College Culinary Arts Program student. And Yolanda Chef Henry, owner of Nooksy's Fine Catering, who also happens to be a LiftFund client and a Goldman Sachs 2000 small business owner. And last but not least, our moderator, Grace Rodriguez, founder of the Impact Hub Houston. The food industry has really suffered severely and been severely impacted since the COVID-19. We are fortunate to have Chef Hugo and Chef Yo to join us today. They will share with us how they are overcoming and navigating through this pandemic, while also showcasing their passion and their creative skills. Now I'd like to introduce our moderator for this program, Grace Rodriguez, CEO and Executive Director of Impact Hub Houston. Grace is no stranger to innovation, having co-founded Station Houston and the Houston Innovation Summit. As her LinkedIn perfectly describes it, she helps do-gooders do greater. Welcome, Grace.
Thank you so much, Michi. You know, we across the Impact Hub communities across the United States really admire the work that you all do at LiftFund to empower entrepreneurs and small business owners. And so I really appreciate the opportunity to be with you today and to moderate. You know, when I was in college in the 90s, working in the restaurant industry helped pay for my tuition. And so now as someone who doesn't cook, I rely on Houston's culinary experts to nourish me. So the restaurant industry is really near and dear to my heart. We have a special format for the session. So first we'll learn a little bit more about each chef as they share their entrepreneurial journey while cooking one of their delicious recipes. And then following the demonstrations, we will engage in a panel discussion to dive deeper into the challenges affecting the industry and learn how the chefs are coping with the impact of the pandemic and their vision for their businesses in the industry. In this day and age, we are all learning to use different platforms. So if there is a glitch, please return to the link again and then rejoin us. And feel free to interact in the chat and pose your questions in the Q&A at the bottom. If you move your cursor to that bar at the bottom, you'll see a little Q&A button. So please share your questions so that, especially for the chefs, if you want to know more about their stories or if you want to know more about what they're doing, feel free to interact in this session. And so with that, we will start with Chef Hugo. Chef Hugo, hello. Where are you cooking from and what will you be making today?
I'm going to be making a stuffed squash blossom, and that is a squash, that's a flower that produces squash, and I will stuff that with onions, garlic, corn, diced squash, and then finish it with goat cheese and crema.
That sounds delicious. Where can you find squash blossoms?
We can find that in the markets, airline market. We can find it there. We can also find it at Urban Harvest. And believe it or not, many people that come from different countries, they have learned how to plant and harvest a squash blossom in the back garden. So as we go forward, you know, this kind of, I would say, delicacies, it beginning to come more alive, if I can say that. Let me start by putting a little bit of butter in my pan over here. And then I'm going to add some onions and follow up with some garlic. And then after that, let me saute that for a few seconds. And you can see that this just, beginning to develop flavors. And white garlic and white onions go first. That is the foundation of your flavor. And in many cuisines, they call it trilogy, like, for example, in Creole cuisine or New Orleans cuisine. In Mexico, we cook with garlic, onion, tomatoes, and lots of peppers. So
That sounds
once
delicious.
you saute it for a couple minutes, then you want to add your corn.
Okay. And then, Chef, can you also tell us what inspired you to go into the restaurant business in the first place?
I think the cooking passion comes from my grandmother. She was an incredible human being that made something literally out of nothing. But in the old saying, we live to eat, because literally we create a live fire and we cultivate the land to be able to be self-sufficient. And that is a very slow way of living. But that's what I did with her for over 3 years. And, definitely Delia, that was her name, in many ways, it made me know who I am today, and why I just absolutely passionate about cooking and develop recipes and so on.
Mm-hmm.
So once you cook your squash, then you want to flavor it with some epazote.
Epazote, can you describe what epazote is?
It's a type of herb like basil, for example,
Okay.
or mint. It grows wild, and I have seen it here in different places. They grow wild, and then now they come the squash blossom, the iodized squash blossom flowers. And the reason I put some of that in there is just to reinforce the flavor of the stuffed squash blossom. So you're going to saute this a little bit more, cook it, develop flavor, and once you have it here, cook, then you're going to empty that, and you bowl. And so here come a technique. Sorry, I leave you there for a second. The technique is about, with the steam of your vegetables, this is the perfect time to put your goat cheese. So the goat cheese is going to get soft and wonderful. And that is what is going to allow the goat cheese to get soft, and eventually, it will help you to mix all together. And that mix right there, you see how beautiful it looks? Oh, Sophia is going to show you. So that's your stuffing. You can see the goat cheese already is melting beautifully. And that is going to allow you to spread that over the squash blossom. Now I got my squash blossom over here. So what you do is just open it lengthwise, and then take the pistil out. And then you get a little bit of the mixing, and pour that inside of your squash blossom. And then you seal it, okay? And that is going to be over here to our breading, which is 1 part Parmesan cheese or Mexican cheese as queso añejo or queso cotija, and the other part is a little bit of flour. For those people that are non-tolerant to flour, you can use cornstarch, or you can use maseca. It's a type of product made out of corn, and that way you allow, you avoid the using the flour. So I got 2, and I want to do my my third squash blossom.
And Chef, when you're talking about all of these different ingredients for your recipe, it sounds like there's a lot that's specific to your culture. Can you share with the audience did cooking help you create your identity, or what turned you into the chef that you are today?
I think I was blessed that I have a very rich culture, just like many other wonderful cultures, right? And it put me on my path to be able to represent not only food, but also music and the wonderful heritage of the Mexican people and the Mexican country. That we are so giving and we love to share. But I think the country in general is a wonderful country. They offer so many things. Mexico is divided in eight regions, and region from region, little town from little town, it changed absolutely everything. The climate and the vegetables and the way people eat and celebrate life in general. So I just put a little bit more of a butter over here. You can use also corn oil if you like it. And I wanna let it get hot, and then eventually I wanna put my squash blossoms in there.
Is this one of your favorite dishes to cook for family and friends, or do you have another favorite dish from Mexico?
Well, I have many dishes. From Yucatan, I love cochinita pibil. From Veracruz, which is a very distinctive, those two states. Veracruz is well known for arroz a la tumbada or red snapper, and that state of Veracruz actually is very long, and it has many states as the neighbors. And Veracruz, they have a lot of Hispanic heritage. So that food in Mexico is well known by the Mexican Mediterranean, because we cook with a lot of olive oil, tomatoes, eggplant, pine nuts, capers, and that made that region very European Mediterranean. So it's a wonderful state. You need to visit.
I hope I can visit as soon as all of this is over.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like we have, we're getting close to done.
Okay.
What would you serve this with?
This one, actually, you will serve it with a little bit of fresh cheese, crema fresca, or sour cream, and feature it as an appetizer. A light lunch with a salad can be wonderful too. And it's just a very simple, delicate dish. And the other thing is that it cooked in almost no time. As you can see, it took us barely, I think, 7-8 minutes.
That looks delicious. I feel like I can smell it from here. And thank you, Chef Hugo. To everyone watching, LiftFund will send you the recipe and a link to the recorded webinar after today's event, so you can cook and follow along with Chef Hugo. In just a second, we will learn more about Chef Yo, and then bring Chef Hugo back in 10 minutes for our panel conversation.
Sounds wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
And then while we are waiting for Chef Yo to transition into the space, it's also Hispanic Heritage Month coming up. So if you want to learn more about the different cuisines and cultures of Mexico, do some research. Google. Hello, Chef Yo. Thank you for joining us.
How y'all doing?
Doing well. Can you share with us what you're cooking and where you're cooking from today?
I am cooking today my family jambalaya recipe, and I'm cooking from our new kitchen at 1926 West Dallas, Nooksy's Table. Yay!
Woo! Celebrate.
45 days we have just opened, and I'm so excited about it. And thank you guys for coming and tuning in. And anytime you want a private dining experience, this is the place. Outdoor seating, private dining rooms, this delicious food, come by and get it. Nooksy's Table.
I love it, Chef Yo. Get your hustle on.
Yep,
And then why did you decide to share this specific recipe?
I love this recipe because it's quick, it's inexpensive, and it's all one pot. You just get your mise en place together, cut up all your vegetables and your and some of these vegetables you can actually, if you're not skilled in your knife skills, you can also pick up these vegetables already cut in the store, and it's really a great recipe. And you can almost even clean out your refrigerator. Use those meats that maybe you might have a chicken breast here that you didn't put in the recipe. You might have some ham or some sausage or some turkey, smoked turkey. It's a great recipe to be able to add anything to it. Tastes great. It has a little bit of butter. We started off with a little bit of butter. Then you have your Trinity here. We have onion, bell peppers, celery. And the other part about this recipe is that you just put everything in. You just put it all in. The recipe calls for you to put half in at first, half of your vegetables in, and the other half only because it's gonna cook down. So you want to have a little bit of chunks at the end when you see it on your plate. So I'm just leaving half, putting half of everything in there.
Okay. And Chef, what brought you to Houston? What inspired you also to go into the restaurant industry?
Oh, well, I'm from Louisiana, if you haven't heard my accent. And I actually came to Houston as a financial analyst. So my first career was in finance. Realized I didn't like to sit at that desk all day and realized I was at other people's desks all the time. And I don't want to be bored. And so, we started cooking, having parties, office parties. I started bringing different family recipes for those parties because I wanted to eat some good food. So, good home cooked food. And my friends liked it too. So they started paying me to cook for them. I started thinking, so there'll be a change in this. So I can make some money with this. And kind of talked to my husband and told him I think I wanted to be a chef. And he told me he could see that. So I quit my job just like that. Enrolled in the Art Institute of Houston, and the rest is history.
That is amazing. Is that how you got introduced to LiftFund?
Oh, LiftFund. No. So LiftFund, I've been doing catering for 18 years.
Wow.
And in 2016, I enrolled in Goldman Sachs, the Goldman Sachs program for small businesses. And LiftFund, I was introduced to LiftFund there. Didn't think I needed it. Didn't know what a CDFI was, and being in the financial industry, I always heard of small business loans and that sort of thing, but never really had an intimate relationship with the alternative funding company until Hurricane Harvey. Hurricane Harvey hit, and LiftFund has been to my rescue ever since. Very thankful and appreciative for everything that they've done to support us. They actually were the funding source for this restaurant 2 years ago. It was actually started out as one of my event spaces. COVID-19 hit, and catering sales went down, events went down, and I had this piece of real estate that we have been having for about 2 years, just sitting here. And so, when COVID hit, everybody just, it was like, what do you do? I'm a small business owner. I'm a caterer. Nobody's entertaining. Nobody's having events. We on shutdown. Yeah. So I took a little break first, regrouped, and thought about, what about that same concept? Now people will really appreciate having to sit in a dining room. They still want to eat out, or you're still accustomed to eating out, but you don't want to go to a crowded dining room. Guys, I
Yeah.
sauteed those, I sauteed the sausage. The sausage in there, the grease, the oil from the sausage is gonna season your vegetables and get your pot really, really hot. Now I'm adding the chicken in. And call a couple of my business partners, asked them if they wanted to help me open a restaurant. And they were like, cool, let's do it. So there we go. 3 days later, right before Black Restaurant Week, I wanted to launch during Black Restaurant Week. We opened the restaurant. So that was very successful. And then after Black Restaurant Week, now it's Houston Restaurant Week.
Mm-hmm.
So bigger market, more people are coming. I'm getting to see a lot of new faces. It's really exciting. And Houston Restaurant Week extended till the 30th of this month. So we have specials. So we have Houston Restaurant menu now available. And yeah, it's been pretty interesting pivoting from doing full service catering, large events, thousands of people, back to where I started, small dining, intimate dining. Yeah, so it's a full circle, pretty much.
Yeah. Well, kudos to you. I mean, there are a lot of restaurants that are closing because of the pandemic, and here you are opening. So best wishes on continuing to grow the restaurant. Can you describe a little bit about why you decided to go with a CDFI versus a traditional
I'll allow
loan?
you up just a little bit. Give me 1 second. All right. Now I can hear you.
Okay, so I was just saying that kudos to you on opening a restaurant when so many others are closing. Can you describe, did you actually launch in response to COVID, or did you launch because you were able to get support from LiftFund as a CDFI versus a traditional loan? What really helped you?
No, actually, I did get funding from the government. Goldman Sachs actually helped me to get my PPP loan. And so once I obtained a PPP loan, I was able to fund the startup for the restaurant. So the restaurant right now, since it's still new and, you know, people are still trying to wonder if they're going to actually go out to eat. So it's a slow start, but it's a good start. Mm-hmm. It's at a good steady pace to where the restaurant is not crowded. It's doing exactly what we intended it to do, is to keep people safe and not be crowded. Mm-hmm. And my chef, he's adjusting to the new environment. And so it's been really, really good. The business is holding its own. It's not paying for its own groceries. So that's a good thing. So thank you to all of those that have actually come by and had a meal with us. Because it's really keeping my staff employed. It's keeping us encouraged. Mm-hmm. And I just couldn't sit around the house. So that was the biggest part. You know, being a small business owner and you don't have your business booming, and you know, you kind of start feeling a little down about it. So
yeah, thank you so much for sharing the story, Chef Yo. And once again, for anyone who joined late, LiftFund will send you the recipes and the link to the recorded webinar after today's event. So look for that email to learn how to make Chef Yo's dishes and Chef Hugo's dish at home. But this is a great transition to our panel, actually, Chef Yo, because we're going to talk about how the pandemic has impacted you all and what your visions are for the future. So let's bring back Chef Hugo to have our chat. And then hopefully we'll be able to see the finished dishes. Let's see. Do we have Chef Hugo? Awesome. Thank you so much. And honestly, I could just watch you. It's so peaceful and meditative to just watch you cook. I really appreciate you all cooking. But let's see. I want to try to make sure we get to as many questions as possible. And
Okay.
so first, I heard that you both have crossed paths before at Houston Community College, which is one of LiftFund's partners, when HCC was holding its culinary arts building groundbreaking. I heard that Chef Hugo was a speaker and Chef Yo's catering business catered the event. Is that right?
That is correct.
Yeah. And
Yep.
how did you find that experience?
Oh, the groundbreaking was really, really nice. I'm so glad HCC added another campus to allow more students to. The culinary arts industry is so much fun. It's so rewarding. It's so versatile. So you can just pivot in so many different directions with a culinary degree. And I love HCC. HCC was actually one of my very first clients many years ago. And so, and still is now. And it's been a pleasure to be a part of that organization for all these years.
Well, it sounds like it really helped you be more resilient as a chef and as an entrepreneur, which I'm sure came into play during the pandemic. Can both of you share your own stories of how your business may have been impacted? Chef Hugo, do you want to start?
Sure. I don't know if I can call this, maybe that's what we needed to a certain point. And, just don't take it as far as be controversial by any meaning, because we all suffer. But it seems to me when you go through this or when you have a natural disaster, the community come together and the things that you take for granted, then you see the value in life and the value on, what you have had before. It was wonderful, but what we have today, that's the reality. Exactly. And what that means, that you need to, I'm sure Chef Joe and I, we know the expenses and the labor costs and the waste and those kind of things is the Achilles heel of any restaurant. So for us, yes, we have loss on employees. We have reduced our costs. We have become more efficient. And don't get me wrong, you cannot do anything, by yourself. Luckily, we are a team over here. Tracy is the CEO of the company, and she and her team try to very much at these, unpredictable times. They are so challenging to try to put one step in front of the other and go from there. But don't make a mistake. Things are very different and very challenging, and we're not done. Who knows where it's going to be light.
Yeah, exactly. Chef Hugo, I have to agree. Prior to the pandemic, one of my biggest goals were to get everybody back to the table. Get your family back to the table. I started etiquette classes. I really wanted to see family time come back. And guess what? You're in a pandemic, you don't have a choice. You have family time now. You're spending time with your family. You're seeing your kids more than 3 minutes out of the day. Board games are back. But I see more people on bicycles. I mean, that was we used to ride from one end of the city to the next. That was like the best thing ever, on a Saturday. So exercise is back. The video games are gone. So I just really think that the pandemic has been a blessing to a lot of families for healing, from the restaurant aspect. The catering had us so busy that my rest level was low. I didn't get much sleep at all. And I just enjoyed just going home and getting 8 hours, that's a rarity for me. So the money, yes, the money is we're 96% down in our sales, but we're seeing so many new faces. We're meeting new people. We're building new relationships, and relationships are the heart and soul of my organization. So I'd rather have, you know, friends and family than money.
Yeah.
So
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. It's really obvious, like how much you guys care about your community and the people that you're serving. Speaking of, you know, about your teams too. So with revenue down, how do you make sure that that the people that you employ and that the people in your communities are also suffering as little as possible during this time?
well, we've actually been able to, we just had a hurricane relief feeding, Lily Grove Baptist Church sponsor. So collaborations, you know, we've been collaborating and we've been joining forces with other organizations to make a bigger impact and still make the same impact, but it's not all in one. We're bringing in other people. And guess what? That collaboration is amazing because now you have a support system. Now you have new talent. Now you have more people that you can rely on or call on when you need them. So my staff actually, the catering staff was gone for 4 months, and now we're slowly bringing them back because now people are, you know, seeing those opportunities to do things differently and entertaining at home, or people are going back to work. So, you know, staying visible and really developing those good partnerships has kept us afloat.
And Chef Hugo, for you, you have 4 restaurants. How do you help support your employees in this time?
Well, I would say, Michi, that we are a resilient group of people. And of course, this started with me and Tracy, and we will not leave any stone unturned when it comes to that. And I picture myself, just because I have, you know, a little bit of natural ability to cook, that is what kept, you know, keep me poised on you know, put one foot step on one feet in front of the other, and I keep it very real. The ability of cooking is give me a lot of satisfaction. It gives me the opportunity, like you mentioned, to have 4 kitchens where I can express my feelings and my knowledge and the love for this incredible industry. So I determined to go beyond what we have now, and I determined to bring with me the people who really have the desire to continue and make a difference on the daily basis. There will be not many of us day after tomorrow that we survive, but I tell you this much, I know Chef Joe and myself will be here and we'll be ready to make a difference.
Absolutely.
And what do you think that we as a community and as individuals, you know, in the greater Houston area, how can we help you and how can we help others in the restaurant industry?
Oh, that's an easy question. Come and visit us every day. Right now we on Fiestas Patrias, which is the Hispanic heritage celebration. And yesterday we celebrate the SECs, you know, which is the incredible holiday that we here in America adopted. So we try to make and follow these wonderful traditions, and we try to get the community involved to support us. And there is nothing wrong by going knock on everybody's door. At least, you know, Sophia and I did it in the very beginning when we reopened the restaurant, and telling people to give us a chance to serve it. Chef Joe has been saying that she's been very busy with her catering business. And so that's what it takes. Go and knock on people's door and allow them to know where you come from in this type of needs.
Yeah.
And for those watching, LiftFund will follow up with an email of the location so you can go and support Chef Hugo and Chef Yo as well. Are there other lessons or advice that you would give to aspiring restaurateurs or people who want to go into the restaurant industry?
Chef Hugo, you want to go first?
Okay, well, it's I would say there is one of a kind business. I would say when you get now, the Chef Joe and I been doing this for a while, we know that you have to go all the way to the foundation. There is not such a thing go just halfway or think that what we present in front of you, it just happened and you learn this overnight. It takes a lot of resilience and knowledge and attitude, and that is just one individual. That can be myself. Now think about, at some point you will have 50 or 60 or 200 employees. Can we see this, have the same vision and the same commitment that you have? Mm-hmm. I think that's the part that I found the most challenging. Yes. It's not about us not know how to cook. We love to cook. We love to share with people, especially in times of need. But by the end of the day, what most people forget is that this is a business too. And mm-hmm. that's the role of all management, and everybody needs to understand. And I think that's the challenge.
Mm-hmm. And consistency is huge for me. Be consistent, if you're gonna provide a service, be great at it, check your blocks, do your paperwork, get a good accountant, get a good bookkeeper, get a system in place, have policies and procedures, have orientations for your staff, train your staff. If you don't know how to train them, come to us. We can help you with that. Lean on people that have been doing this for a while. I've been mentoring. I have 3 mentees right now, and, cleaning and sanitation, something as simple as, not knowing how to stack your groceries in the refrigerator, that's because you're jumping out and they're just saying, oh, I got a recipe, I have a food truck, let's do it. It's more than that. You have to, like Chef Hugo said, you have to get your foundation in place, you have to train your staff, and you have to be consistent.
Thank you for sharing that. That's so critical. People normally don't think about the business side when they're starting a business. They always think about what they're providing as a product or a service. So it's really great advice to get that foundation down. Do you recommend any programs specifically for people who want to go into this kind of business? Chef Yo, you mentioned you went through the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses program. Was that, are there other programs, or would you recommend that specifically that one?
Definitely Lift Off Houston, Goldman Sachs. After being in business for, I was 16 years of being in business, I had a finance background, but I'm never getting to a point where I can't continue to learn. And that program just catapulted my business into a whole different direction. They break your business down. They show you where your weak points are. They show you how to advance what you're already doing, the building blocks. ACC has programs, continuing education programs. The webinars are phenomenal right now. You can log on to ACC right now, and there's so many free outlets. SBA has tons of webinars that you can log on to. Right now, everybody's in front of the computer, and guess what? It's free. This is the stuff that you used to have to pay for. It's free. Just at least maybe put on your calendar to do at least 2 continuing education projects a week, and it'll change your life.
Mm-hmm. And LiftFund also has literacy, financial literacy programs as well to help people who might think that they're not as good at math and all of the accounting stuff, to really help you figure that out too. And Chef Hugo, as somebody grows their business, now you have multiple locations, what other kind of things do people need to consider planning for strategically as they grow?
Chef, you mentioned, and what I believe continuing education is very important. And then at some point in you, along the way, you need to figure out, like bringing people that are passionate about this industry, regardless of the area it is. I feel very comfortable to talk about food and planning menus and create recipes. That's where my passion is. Well, you know, visit the culinary schools, visit HEC, and go and talk to the instructors and pick their brains and ask questions, you know, who is going to be able to help you and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to, from the point of run the business, we try to keep that balance. And this is a very personal experience. About 3 years ago, my daughter Sophia came to me and said, you know, Daddy, I contemplated the idea of join, you know, the company and help you. And I kind of laugh and I say, oh, that sounds good. I mean, Sophia was 18 at the time, I think. Let's see what you think, you know, in a few years more. But she could keep that in her mind. And now Sophia is taking her master at the University of Houston. And the program is, what is that, Sophia?
Hotel and restaurant
Hotel
management.
and restaurant management. It
Yeah,
sounds
good.
pretty fancy to me, but that's what it is. And so Sophia is have a stick, and you know, I have learned many things that I was not able to do it. And so when it comes to that, I just very content and happy that Sophia believe in what we do and she's follow our footsteps.
And I also want to put out there chambers of commerce. Greater Houston Black Chamber of Commerce has been very instrumental in our growth. The Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Find a chamber of commerce that's close to you. Excuse me. Excuse me. Chambers will introduce you or put you in front of opportunities that you wouldn't have found on your own.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a valuable resource.
Thank you. And I think it's really important what you both just said about building your team. It's not just the people who work in the kitchen, it's also the people who support, right? So with Sophia helping with the business and marketing and operations and all of that, it's really important when you think of growing your team to support you as a chef, or if you're looking for co-founders or partners, to look for people who have strengths that can complement yours. We have just a couple more minutes left. I was wondering, what words of hope would you like to serve the audience today? Chef
Can you
Hugo?
repeat the question again, please?
Sure. What words of hope would you like to serve people today?
I would say be resilient about what you do. And this is the time where a community need to stay together and get along more than ever, because we need that.
Mm-hmm. And Chef Yo, are you okay?
Girl, you know, cayenne pepper is real. Let's be clear. This jambalaya is in this oven, and this cayenne pepper is on the back of my throat. So that's what's happening. Let me check on this jambalaya.
Okay. Well, if anybody's
serve some
hungry,
more.
yeah.
Oh man, you know what? You gotta believe in yourself. That's what I always tell people. You know, people wanna wait for other people to believe in them. You gotta believe in yourself. You gotta push yourself and know that you can put one foot forward and the next one's gonna come behind. You know, and so be encouraged by that. Be encouraged by the fact that you have a skill, you have something you want to present, you get some help, and you push yourself. Be a self-motivator. Everybody's out here right now having to figure something out, figure out what's the next move, how you gonna pay your bills, how your ends are gonna be, staying home with your children, homeschooling. Shoot, people running from that situation because, that's why you send those kids to school, because you don't want to do it. So, it's hard right now. And just know that everybody's in it with you. They're doing the same things. Everybody's trying to figure it out. So you're not in it alone. Be encouraged. Ask for help. Reach out to your friends. Check in on your friends. You never know, what somebody might be going through. And shoot, just be nice. Smile. Give up. I send emojis all day long to my friends. What y'all doing? Where y'all at? Why I hadn't talked to y'all in a couple of days, So check in on your friends and your family, and make new friends, We on Zoom now, so we can make friends all across the country, you know?
I love what you're saying. I don't know if it's because you both are chefs, but I feel like it's a similar message. Just look at what you got in the refrigerator and make a miracle out of it, right? We don't know what tomorrow is going to bring, but we're going to make a miracle out of it. So if we can get a chance to see your dishes, we'll transition. Thank you so much for being with us today. And I'm going to hand. Go ahead.
I've been told we need to say our websites.
Yes.
Okay, so Nooksies.com, and Nooksies is spelled Nuksys. The fork is a Y, and the Y hugs the S, so it's SYS. Nooksies Theater.
And Chef Hugo?
.net. That's correct?
Yeah, and then keep going.
Oh, my glasses. Sorry, that's. Oh, the Caracol.net, and then BackstreetCafe.net. And
Okay.
then Houston.com.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
LiftFund will share those links as well in the follow-up email.
I appreciate it.
Thank you, chefs, for all you do for our community, and we really appreciate you sharing your experiences and insight with us today. Your resilience and ingenuity continuously inspire us. And so, audience, please support entrepreneurs and small businesses like Chef Hugo and Chef Yo. Your local food truck may become the next Caracol, the next Nooksies. So now let's hear from Michi Bruns-Clay, LiftFund Regional Vice President of the East, Texas region based in Houston, to share some reflections as we are rejoined by all of our special guests.
Thank you, LiftFund.
Thank you.
Thank you, Grace, for sharing as our wonderful moderator. You've done a great job. This has been absolutely fun, unexpected, but I've had a great time. To our chefs, thank you for your energy. Thank you for allowing the participants to see your heart. And we've been inspired by your stories, by your culture, by your pivot strategies. You've actually given us not only your recipes, but recipes for success. And so we thank you for that. To our Janie Barrera, thank you for opening our program. I believe that some of the common themes that we've shared today are really resilience, collaboration, faith over fear. Small business owners are really, embedded in the economic fabric of our city. You generate revenue, you employ others, and in turn, that that gives you money to really put food on the table. We ask that you support our foodpreneurs, Chef Hugo and Chef Yo, nonprofit community development financial institutions like LiftFund. Our mission is really to lift entrepreneurs to success. We hope that we have shared the importance of supporting small businesses. They are truly the engine of the economy. They need our support, especially during these critical times. Please consider joining our movement, as we as a nonprofit are always seeking partners and donors and investors and mentors for our clients. We'd love to welcome you to the LiftFund family of supporters. We hope to see you at our October 21st webinar entitled Foundation of Hope, where we'll be featuring some of our minority construction businesses. Thank you so much for joining us.
On behalf of LiftFund and our board, staff, and clients, we thank you for taking time to learn about our mission and hear from resilient entrepreneurs. Please remember to support small businesses and entrepreneurs as they need your help. And as a thank you for joining us, you will be receiving the chef's recipes, and we encourage you to try them and post your creation on social media at #LiftFund Serving Hope. Thank you. Stay safe and healthy.